Welcome to the Press Club. I have a statement to make, a preliminary statement. I too was once a foreign student. I went to New Zealand. I was a Fulbright student in New Zealand at Victoria University College in Wellington. But I came there on a 9-month visa, and I got an extension of 2 months, and then I came home. And I'm kind of a model foreign student, and not all of them do that. I also want to make a little footnote to what Dan just said about North Korea and the little d. D does not stand for David, okay? and it's part of an ancient, and I'm back in your days at INS, practice of the government. If there's one or two people in a grouping, it doesn't say one or two, it says D. So there are not very many folks from North Korea here, and it is one of these puzzling things that you see if you look very carefully on some Department of Homeland Security documents. I want to talk about the economics of all this. I want to talk about the optional practical training program, which is none of those things. It's a program, all right. And I want to ask you a question. Suppose there was a federal program, one never authorized by Congress as such, that did the following. It took about $3 billion a year away from America's elderly and infirm, gave that money to American corporations, including such ultra-prosperous ones as Amazon, which is kind of new money, and J.P. Morgan, which is old money. That program, suppose there was a program that involved more than 1/3 workers. And the program that program took money from the aging and the sick and was given to U.S. employers who had decided to hire a foreign college graduate of an American university rather than an American college graduate. Now, supposing there was such a program, wouldn't there be an outcry? Well, the answer is there is such a program, and there is no outcry. And one of the reasons that there is no outcry is because the press routinely talks about the OPT program as foreign students and never mentions the subsidy. And the subsidy is the fact that neither the employer, and this is important, nor the OPT student, we'll get back to that in a minute, is charged for the usual payroll taxes. These are Medicare, the Medicare Trust Fund, even more so the Social Security Trust Fund, and to a very minor extent something called the Federal Unemployment Insurance Trust Fund. All that adds up to 8.25% of payroll. That's the subsidy. That's the employer gets the subsidy, the student, the former student gets a subsidy. And that's what this program is. It involves 1/3 people, every one of whom is a college grad, every one of them who's taking a job, not just out of the normal competition, but taking a subsidized job that would have gone to an American otherwise. I find that appalling, and it's a great big secret, and as we will show you, a whole series of publications and scholarly organizations, and even an arm of the government itself doesn't talk about it. We saw quite recently long articles in the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, San Francisco Chronicle. We saw reports from the Pew Charitable Trust, also from an organization, let me find that one, the Niskanen Center. Long studies or articles about the OPT program, and they never mention the subsidy. And I think that's a disgrace, and I'm here to say they should have mentioned it, and we will, and that's what we're talking about today. So the employer is faced with, or can be in a hypothetical situation, somebody from Argentina and somebody from the United States, and they both have the same degree. and they're both equally available for, say, $55,000 a year, whatever. And there's no difference. And they're both very bright and attractive folks. But there's one difference. The Argentinian comes at a discount. The Argentinian comes at a 8.25% discount. Over 3 years, if it's a STEM person, that's science, technology, engineering, and math, that's something like $15,000 the employer gets if he hires the Argentinian rather than the American. Now, I think that in many cases, this is something that the corporations are aware of. They're not all aware of this, but most of them are aware of it and take advantage of it. And it's not an even playing field. I mean, the American is saying, you got to pay me 100%. And the Argentinian or the other alien is saying, you got to pay me 92%. What do you suppose a rational employer does if he knows about this? Well, in many, many cases, 1/3 of a million cases, they hire the foreign grad. It's not a student, it's an alumnus. Now, the mechanism for this and the program, OPT, was created during the Bush II administration, was expanded a little bit by the Obama administration, and has been preserved so far by the Trump administration. But the mechanism is this. The Bush people couldn't figure out how to make those alumni available to work in the United States, these foreign alumni. They couldn't do that with alumni. So they cast a magic spell over this large population and said, thou art still a student. And so during the first year, all these grads have 1 year of subsidized employment. And if you happen to be, as many foreign students are, have specialized in the STEM fields, then you get 3 years of subsidized employment. So that's the OPT program, and that's the problem with it. It takes billions and billions of dollars away from the trust funds, which are kind of running down and need all the help that they can get. And simultaneously, they deny about 1/3 of a million Americans a job. Now, many of those, a third of a million, may scramble and find something else. But my point is, you shouldn't take money from America's elderly, give it to fat cat corporations so that they can discriminate against Americans. I don't think that's a very good idea.